The notification sound was barely audible over the shower running in our ensuite bathroom. Ping. I wouldn't have noticed it at all if I hadn't been lying in bed, scrolling through my own phone, waiting for my husband Marcus to finish his shower so we could finally have the date night in he'd promised after canceling our restaurant reservation for the third time this month. His phone sat on the nightstand, base up, screen glowing. I wasn't the jealous type. In 12 years of marriage, I'd never once felt the urge to snoop through Marcus' messages. We had trust. We had transparency. We had everything I thought made a marriage unshakable. But something about the way that notification just sat there, glowing in the dim lamplight, made my stomach clench. The screen was still lit when I glanced over. Jenna. Let me know when she leaves. I've got that wine you like chilling. Missing you already. Time. Stopped. My lungs forgot how to process air. The words didn't make sense at first. Like my brain was refusing to arrange them into their terrible meaning. Jenna. My best friend since college. My maid of honor. The godmother to the children Marcus and I had spent 5 years trying and failing to conceive. The woman who'd held me while I sobbed after our third miscarriage. The person I trusted more than anyone in the world except the man currently singing off-key in our shower. Let me know when she leaves. She. I was she. In our story, whatever twisted story they'd been writing behind my back, I wasn't even a name, just a pronoun, an obstacle, something to be removed. So they could do what? My hands were shaking so badly I almost couldn't pick up his phone. No passcode. We'd agreed years ago that we had nothing to hide from each other. The irony tasted like battery acid in the back of my throat. I opened their message thread. What I found in the next 15 minutes would have broken most women immediately. Maybe it should have broken me too. But as I scrolled through 6 months of messages, 6 months of lies, of plans made around my work schedule, of intimate jokes and photos that made my skin crawl, something inside me didn't shatter. It crystallized. Marcus. Can't wait to taste you again. Thursday, she has that conference. Jenna. Perfect. Wear those jeans that make your ass look incredible. Marcus. You're so much more fun than her. God, I feel alive again. Jenna. That's because I actually want you. When's the last time she initiated anything? They've been together in my house, in my guest room, on the couch where Jenna and I had binge-watched every season of our favorite shows, eating ice cream and rating celebrity breakups. There were photos. Not the explicit kind. Somehow that would have been simpler, cleaner. These were worse. Intimate. Jenna in Marcus's arms at the park where he'd proposed to me, Marcus kissing her forehead in a coffee shop I didn't recognize, their hands intertwined on a table with 2 wine glasses. They looked happy. They looked like a couple. They looked like everything Marcus and I used to be before infertility had slowly leached the joy from our marriage, leaving us as polite roommates who occasionally had mechanical, disappointing sex. The shower turned off. I had maybe 3 minutes before Marcus came out. I thinker hovered over the delete button, some instinct screaming at me to erase what I'd seen, to unknow it, to go back to the comfortable ignorance I'd been living in. Instead, I did something else. I forwarded the entire conversation to my own phone, screenshots of every photo. I sent them to a secret email address I created on the spot, thetruthwillout2024@gmail.com. Then I carefully placed his phone back exactly where it had been, screen dark, charging cable at the same angle. I got under the covers and picked up my book. When Marcus emerged from the bathroom in a cloud of steam, towel around his waist, water still beating on his shoulders, I smiled at him. Feel better? I asked, my voice steady despite the earthquake happening inside my chest. Much better, he smiled back, that boyish grin that had made me fall in love with him in a crowded college bar 13 years ago. Still up for that movie? Absolutely, I said. I've been looking forward to it all week. He leaned down and kissed my forehead, exactly the same way he'd kissed Jenna's. I didn't flinch. I didn't cry. I just sat there, smiling, planning. Because women who cry get pitied, but women who plot get even. The next morning, I woke up before Marcus and made his favorite breakfast: blueberry pancakes with real maple syrup, crispy bacon, and coffee, exactly the way he liked it. 2 sugars, splash of cream. "Wow," he said when he stumbled into the kitchen, still half asleep. "What's the occasion?" "No occasion," I said brightly, sliding a perfectly golden pancake onto his plate. "Just felt like doing something nice for my husband. Is that so strange?" Something flickered across his face, maybe guilt or suspicion, but it vanished quickly. "Not strange, just we've both been so busy lately. This is really nice, Liv." Liv, short for Olivia. He used to say my name like it was something precious. Now I knew he said Jenna's name the same way. "Well, I was thinking," I said, sitting down across from him with my own plate, "we should do more of this. I feel like we've been ships passing in the night lately. I miss you." His eyes softened. "I miss you too." Liar. I said, "Maybe we could plan a trip. Just the 2 of us. Reconnect. I know the fertility stuff has been hard on both of us, and I think I've been so focused on that I forgot to focus on us." I watched him carefully. Was that relief on his face or panic? "That sounds amazing," he said slowly, "but work is crazy right now, maybe in a few months." "Of course," I said, reaching across to squeeze his hand. "Whenever works for you. I'm not going anywhere." The irony of that statement hung in the air, visible only to me. After he left for work, I sat in the silence of our kitchen and opened my laptop. First order of business, I needed information. I called my lawyer. Not the family attorney we'd used to write our wills, but a divorce attorney whose name I'd found through a discreet Google search. Her reviews mentioned words like ruthless, aggressive, and gets results. Perfect. "I need a consultation," I told her receptionist, "and I need complete discretion." The appointment was set for the following Tuesday. Next, I called Jenna. "Hey, babe." Her voice was so warm, so familiar. Once upon a time, that voice had been a comfort. Now it felt like nails on a chalkboard. "What's up?" "I'm planning a surprise for Marcus," I said, keeping my tone light and conspiratorial. "Our anniversary is coming up, and I want to do something really special. Maybe renew our vows? I know it's cheesy, but after everything we've been through, I just feel like we need to celebrate us, you know?" There was a pause, a telling pause. Wow, that's really sweet, Liv. I was hoping you could help me plan it. You're so good this stuff, and Marcus loves you. I'd want you to be part of it, obviously. Another pause. "Of course," she finally said. "I'd be honored." "Perfect. Let's have lunch this week. Just us girls. I'll text you." When I hung up, I was smiling for real this time. Because if there's one thing better than revenge, it's making your enemies help you plan it. Over the next 6 weeks, I became someone I didn't recognize. I hired a private investigator, a woman named Carol who looked like somebody's kindly grandmother, but had the instincts of a bloodhound. She cost $200 an hour, but she was worth every penny. Within 2 weeks, Carol had photographic evidence of Marcus and Jenna meeting at hotels, at restaurants in the next town over, at a cabin that apparently belonged to Jenna's parents. "They're not even careful," Carol told me, sliding a manila folder across the table at the coffee shop where we'd met. "It's almost like they want to get caught." I looked through the photos. Marcus's hand on Jenna's lower back, Jenna laughing at something he'd said, the 2 of them kissing in a parking garage. That last one made something twist in my gut. Not heartbreak. I'd moved past that. This was something colder, harder. "How long have you been married?" Carol asked gently. 12 years. Together for 13. "Kids?" "No, we tried. It didn't work out." She nodded, understanding in her eyes. "I'm sorry. Don't be. If we'd had kids, this would be so much messier." While Carol tracked their movements, I took care of the financial preparation. I'd always been the one who handled our money. Marcus was brilliant with his software engineering work, but hopeless with budgets and bills. It was one of those things we'd just naturally divided up, like how he handled car maintenance and I handled groceries. Now, that arrangement worked in my favor. I opened a separate bank account at a different bank, using my maiden name, Olivia Chen. I slowly began moving money. Not enough that Marcus would notice immediately, but steady amounts that would add up. $800 here, $1,200 there. Money from my freelance graphic design work that Marcus had stopped paying attention to years ago. Tax return money I redirected. The small inheritance from my grandmother that I'd kept in a separate account for emergencies. This definitely qualified for an emergency. I also started documenting everything about our marriage. I made copies of all our financial records. I screenshotted every text message from Marcus's phone whenever I had the chance. He remained blissfully unaware that I'd figured out his passcode months ago, because it was Jenna's birthday, because of course it was. I kept a journal of every lie he told, every canceled plan, every time he came home late smelling like her perfume. And through it all, I played the role of the perfect wife. I cooked his favorite meals, I laughed at his jokes, I initiated sex which seemed to confuse and please him in equal measure. "You seem different lately," he said one night, after we'd had the best sex we'd had in months. "I am happy," I said, tracing patterns on his chest. "I feel like we're finally getting back to us, you know? Like we're remembering why we fell in love." He pulled me closer. "I love you, Liv." The words should have meant something. Once upon a time, they would have meant everything. Now they were just sounds. Empty syllables. "I love you too," I said, because that's what the script required. Meanwhile, Jenna and I had lunch every week. She'd help me plan the vow renewal I had no intention of going through with, offering suggestions about flowers and venues and catering. "You should do it at the Botanical Gardens," she said one afternoon, sipping her overpriced latte. "It's so romantic there in spring." "That's where you and Derek got engaged, right?" I asked innocently. Derek was Jenna's ex-fiancé. They'd broken up 3 years ago, right around the time she'd started spending more time with Marcus and I as a couple. Now I wondered if the breakup had been about Marcus all along. "Yeah," she said, a shadow crossing her face. "But that feels like a lifetime ago now." "Do you ever regret it? Breaking up with him?" She stirred her latte, not meeting my eyes. "Sometimes, but Derek wanted different things than I did. We weren't compatible anymore." "What about now? Are you seeing anyone?" Her cheeks flushed. "Nothing serious. Just casually dating." The lie sat between us like a third person at the table. "Well, when you find the right person, I hope they treat you the way Marcus treats me. You deserve someone who loves you completely, honestly, who doesn't keep secrets." Was it my imagination or did she flinch? "Yeah," she said quietly. "That would be nice." My attorney's name was Patricia Valdez, and she scared the hell out of me in the best way possible. She was 50-something, with steel gray hair cut in a sharp bob, and eyes that could probably extract confessions from stone. "Tell me everything," she said at her first meeting. sliding a legal pad across her immaculate desk. And I mean everything. Don't leave anything out because you're embarrassed or think it doesn't matter. I'll decide what matters. So, I told her about the text message, about the 6 months of evidence, about hiring Carol, about the money I'd been moving. Smart, Patricia said. Very smart. Washington is a no-fault divorce state, but the infidelity will help us in other ways. Community property will be split 50-50, but we can argue for more based on emotional damages and the fact that he was using marital assets, your home, your money, to conduct the affair. I want everything I'm entitled to. And I want them both exposed. Patricia looked up at me, one eyebrow raised. Exposed how? I'm still working on that part. She smiled, a sharp, predatory expression. I like you, Olivia. Don't do anything illegal, but do keep me informed. Over the next several meetings, we built an airtight case.
Patricia's investigator cross-referenced Carol's evidence and found even more. Credit card statements showing hotel rooms, receipts from restaurants, a paper trail that painted a very clear picture. He's been sloppy, Patricia said. Arrogant, really. He genuinely doesn't think you know. He thinks I'm stupid, I said. Then he's the stupid one. We're going to take him to the cleaners. But I didn't just want Marcus to lose money. I wanted him to lose everything. 6 weeks into my investigation, Jenna invited me to her apartment for wine night. Just as girls, she said, like old times. I almost said no. The thought of sitting in her space, drinking her wine, pretending everything was normal, it made my skin crawl. But I said yes, because I wasn't done gathering ammunition yet. Her apartment was exactly as I remembered, bohemian chic, with plants everywhere and fairy lights strung across the ceiling. We'd picked out half this furniture together back when she'd first moved in 3 years ago. How long had she wanted my husband even then? I'm so glad we're doing this, Jenna said, pouring us both generous glasses of red wine. I feel like I haven't really seen you lately. You've been so busy with the anniversary planning. Well, I want it to be perfect, I said, settling onto her couch, the blue velvet one we'd found at an estate sale. You both do, she said, but she wouldn't meet my eyes. We chatted about nothing for a while, work, Netflix shows, her mother's health problems. Then I steered the conversation where I wanted it. Can I ask you something personal? She tensed slightly. Of course. Do you think Marcus and I are going to make it? What? Liv, why would you? It's just, we've been through so much. The fertility stuff. I know it's changed us both. Sometimes I worry that he's not happy anymore. That maybe he wants something different. Jenna's face was a war between guilt and something else. Hope, maybe. I think every marriage goes through rough patches, she said carefully. You guys love each other. You'll get through it. Do you really believe that? She took a long drink of wine. I think sometimes people grow apart. And that's nobody's fault. It just happens. Is that what happened with Janice and Derek? Derek and I were never right for each other. Not really. I was trying to force something that wasn't there. And if you could have what you really wanted, if there were no obstacles. She looked at me then, really looked at me, and I saw it all on her face. The guilt, the desire, the justification she'd built up in her head for why it was okay to betray me. I'd want someone who sees me, really sees me, someone who makes me feel alive. You deserve that, I said, and I meant it. Everyone deserves honesty, truth, love that isn't built on lies. That's why what she and Marcus had wasn't love. It was selfishness dressed up in romance. I stayed for another hour playing the role perfectly. When I left, she hugged me tight. I love you, you know that, she said. You're my best friend. I love you too. And I once upon a time really had. It happened on a Tuesday. I wasn't planning for it to be that day specifically, but Marcus made the decision for me. I came home early from a client meeting to find Jenna's Scion in our driveway. For a moment, I just sat in my own car staring at that familiar silver Honda Civic with the dent in the back bumper from when she'd backed into a pole outside our favorite brunch place. I could leave, drive around the block, come back in an hour, maintain the facade for a little longer. Instead, I got out of my car and walked to my own front door. I could hear them before I even put my key in the lock. Laughter, Marcus's deep rumble, and Jenna's bright giggle. They were in the living room, on my couch. Jenna was wearing one of Marcus's t-shirts and nothing else. They froze when they saw me. For a moment, nobody moved. We were a tableau. The betrayed wife, the guilty husband, the best friend who never really been a friend at all. Then Marcus jumped up, grabbing a throw pillow to cover himself. Liv, you're home early. I don't, I said. My voice was calm, eerily calm. I watched from outside myself as I walked past them into the kitchen, set down my purse and poured myself a glass of water. They followed me like guilty children. Liv, let me explain, Jenna started. How long? I asked, still not looking at them. It's not what it looks like, Marcus tried. How long? Silence. 6 months, Jenna finally whispered. I'm so sorry. We didn't mean for it to happen. It just what? You just accidentally started fucking my husband? You just accidentally betrayed every moment of our friendship? You just accidentally became a cliche? I finally turned to look at them. Marcus had put on his jeans. Jenna had found her leggings. They looked small, pathetic. I want you both out of my house, right now. Liv, please, we need to talk about this. Marcus reached for me. If you touch me, I will break your hand. Get out. This is my house too, Marcus said, and there it was, that flash of anger, of male entitlement. I smiled. Actually, you'll find that the deed is in my name. The house was a gift from my parents for our wedding, remember? You signed the quitclaim deed when we got married. It's mine. I verified this with Patricia weeks ago. Marcus's face went white. You can't just, I can, and I am. Get out, or I'm calling the police. Jenna was crying now, mascara running down her face. Liv, I never wanted to hurt you. But you did it anyway. That's what makes it worse. You knew exactly what you were doing, and you did it because you wanted to, because you felt entitled to him, to my life. That's not... Did you fuck him in my bed, Jenna? She flinched. Answer me. Yes, she whispered. Get out of my house. They left. When the door closed behind them, I stood in my kitchen and finally let myself feel it. The rage, the grief, the betrayal. I didn't cry. I just breathed through it, letting it wash over me and then recede. Then I picked up my phone and called Patricia. It's time, I said. File the papers. The divorce papers were served to Marcus at his office on a Friday afternoon. I know this because Patricia had made sure the process server would do it publicly in front of his colleagues. My phone started ringing within 30 minutes. I didn't answer.
Instead, I posted on social media, something I rarely did, but this required an audience. The post was simple. After 12 years of marriage, I've learned that trust is the foundation of everything. When that trust is broken, especially by the two people you loved most in the world, you have two choices: break or break free. I'm choosing freedom. To everyone who has supported Marcus and me over the years, thank you. To Marcus and Jenna, you deserve each other. I attached a single photo, not the explicit ones from Marcus's phone. I had more class than that. Just a screenshot of Jenna's text. Let me know when she leaves. No context needed. My phone exploded. Messages from friends, family, people I hadn't talked to in years. Everyone wanted to know what happened. Everyone wanted to take sides. I let them speculate. Meanwhile, Patricia was doing the real work. She'd filed for divorce on grounds that included infidelity, requesting an unequal division of assets based on emotional damages. She'd also send a carefully worded letter to Marcus's employer. See, Marcus worked for a company with a strict morality clause in their executive contracts. Employees in leadership positions, like Marcus, who'd been promoted to senior engineering manager 2 years ago, were expected to maintain certain standards. Conducting an affair in the workplace violated those standards, especially when it came out that Marcus had been using company time and resources, like business trip hotel rooms, to see Jenna. He was placed on administrative leave within a week. And as for Jenna, I'd done my homework there, too. She worked at a boutique PR firm that prided itself on image and discretion. They represented high-profile clients who valued their reputations. I didn't have to do much. Just made sure that the managing partners became aware of the situation. Let them know that one of their employees had been involved in the very messy, very public affair. Jenna was quietly let go 2 weeks later. "You're ruthless," Patricia said with admiration when I told her. "Remind me never to get on your bad side." I said, "They made their choices. I'm just making sure there are consequences." But I wasn't done yet. Our anniversary came and went while the divorce was pending. Marcus sent flowers, roses, my favorite. The card said, "I'm so sorry. Please give me a chance to explain. I love you. M." I donated the flowers to a nursing home. Then I threw myself the party I deserved. Remember that vow renewal I'd been planning with Jenna? I kept the venue, the caterer, the flowers. But instead of renewing vows with Marcus, I threw myself a divorce party. I invited everyone, friends, family, colleagues, even people from Marcus's side who'd reached out to support me. The invitations were perfect. Join Olivia Chen in celebrating her freedom. After 12 years of marriage and 6 months of deception, she's finally getting the one thing she always deserved: the truth. Come toast to new beginnings. The party was magnificent. I wore a white dress, not a wedding dress, but something stunning and expensive that I bought with money from my secret account. I got my hair and makeup done professionally. I looked better than I had in years. The venue, the botanical gardens Jenna had suggested, was decorated in my favorite colors: gold and deep purple. Elegant, powerful. I gave a speech. "Thank you all for coming," I said, raising my champagne glass. "I know this isn't the traditional anniversary celebration, but then again, I'm learning that traditional isn't always honest." Laughter rippled through the crowd. 12 years ago, I married someone I thought I knew. I built a life based on trust and partnership, and for a long time it was good. But somewhere along the way, that person decided that our vows, the promises we made, didn't matter anymore. He decided that I didn't matter anymore. I paused, taking a sip of champagne. The worst part wasn't even the cheating. It was the lying, the sneaking around, the way they made me feel crazy for noticing that something was wrong, the way they stole my right to make informed decisions about my own life. People were nodding, some were crying. But here's what I've learned. Betrayal doesn't break you unless you let it. Yes, I'm angry. Yes, I'm hurt. But more than that, I'm free. Free from lies, free from people who didn't value me, free to build something better. I raised my glass higher. So here's to freedom, here's to truth, and here's to everyone in this room who showed me what real love and loyalty look like. Thank you. The applause was thunderous. We danced, we ate amazing food, we laughed until our faces hurt. My mother pulled me aside at one point, tears in her eyes. "I'm so proud of you," she said. "You could have fallen apart. Instead, you became stronger." "I had good teachers," I said, hugging her. "You taught me that women don't need men to save them. We save ourselves." Toward the end of the night, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "I'm sorry. You deserved better. I was weak and selfish. I hope someday you can forgive me. Jay." I stared at it for a long moment. Then I blocked the number and put my phone away. Some things don't deserve a response. The divorce took 4 months to finalize. In the end, I got the house, which had always been mine anyway, 60% of our savings accounts and investment accounts, Marcus's entire 401k based on his misuse of marital assets, full ownership of my freelance business and all its accounts, his prized vintage record collection. I didn't even want it, but Patricia said it would hurt him, and she was right. The car, the art we'd collected together, and a written apology admitting to the affair to be kept on file. Marcus got his clothes, his personal items, 40% of the savings, his student loan debt, which I was no longer responsible for, and the girlfriend who'd helped destroy his marriage. The final papers were signed on a rainy Thursday in October, almost exactly 1 year after I'd first seen that text message. Patricia called me afterward. "It's done," she said. "You're officially divorced. How do you feel?" I stood in my house, looking around at the life I was building. I'd redecorated, painted the walls, bought new furniture, removed every trace of Marcus and our failed marriage. "I feel like I can breathe again," I said. "Good. You earned it." 6 months after the divorce was finalized, I ran into them, Marcus and Jenna, at a grocery store of all places. They were in the produce section, arguing about avocados. "These are too ripe," Marcus was saying. "You never check properly." "Oh my God, they're fine," Jenna snapped back. "Why do you have to criticize everything I do?" They both looked tired, older. Marcus had gained weight. Jenna had cut her hair short in a style that didn't suit her. They looked like what they were, two people who'd blown up their lives for passion and found out that passion doesn't pay the bills or fill the silence of guilt. I could have walked away, avoided them entirely. Instead, I walked right up to them. "Olivia," Marcus said, his face going pale. "Marcus, Jenna," I smiled pleasantly. "How are you both?" "We're fine," Jenna said, unable to meet my eyes. "Good. I'm glad." I paused, selecting a perfect avocado from the bin. "Marcus, you're looking well. And Jenna, that haircut is, bold." "Listen, Liv," Marcus started. "It's Olivia," I corrected. "And don't worry, I'm not here to cause a scene. I actually want to thank you both." They stared at me. "Thank us?" Marcus asked. "Absolutely. You did me the biggest favor of my life. You showed me exactly who you were. You forced me to value myself in ways I never had before. You gave me the push I needed to build something better." I smiled wider. "I'm seeing someone now, actually. His name is Daniel.
He's a photographer, kind, honest, thinks I'm the most incredible woman he's ever met. We're talking about traveling to Japan next spring, something I always wanted to do, but you were never interested in, Marcus. That landed. I could see it in his eyes. I'm also expanding my business. Just hired 2 employees, signed my biggest client last month. I bought a condo downtown with a view of the water. I'm happy. Genuinely. Completely happy. I picked up a second avocado, testing its ripeness. So thank you for cheating, for lying, for being exactly selfish and small enough to set me free. I put the avocados in my basket and walked away. I didn't look back, but I felt their eyes on me all the way to the checkout lane. Later, I found out through mutual friends that Marcus and Jenna broke up 3 months after that encounter. Apparently, once the thrill of sneaking around was gone, they realized they had nothing in common, that their entire relationship had been built on stolen moments and the rush of deception. Without that, they were just 2 people who'd destroyed their lives for nothing. Marcus tried to contact me several times after that. Emails, text from new numbers, even a handwritten letter delivered to my office, all saying the same thing. He'd made a mistake. He wanted me back. What we had was real. Jenna was nothing compared to me. I never responded. Because here's the truth. It didn't matter anymore. He didn't matter anymore. The pain he had caused was just a scar now, still visible, but no longer bleeding. I'm writing this from a cafe in Kyoto. Daniel is next to me, editing photos from this morning's shoot at Fushimi Inari Shrine. Every few minutes, he shows me one. Look at this light. Look at this composition. And I fall a little more in love with his passion, his eye for beauty. We met at my divorce party, actually. He was the photographer I'd hired to document the evening. We talked for hours about art and pain and transformation. Our first date was 3 weeks later. He knew everything from the start. I refused to build anything new on secrets or half-truths. I told him about Marcus, about Jenna, about the betrayal and the revenge. "You're the strongest person I've ever met," he said, after I finished. "I'm really not. I'm just someone who refused to disappear." 6 months ago, he told me he loved me. 3 months ago, we moved in together. And yesterday, in a quiet temple garden, he asked me to marry him. I said yes. Not because I need him to complete me. I'm already whole. But because he's someone who sees me, really sees me, who celebrates my strength instead of feeling threatened by it, who would never ever make me feel like I'm something to sneak away from. Sometimes I think about Jenna. Wonder if she ever really understood what she threw away. Not Marcus. He wasn't the prize she thought he was. But our friendship, 20 years of history, moments that mattered. She traded all of that for a man who wasn't even hers to take. And sometimes, late at night, I think about Marcus, too. I wonder if he ever takes responsibility. If he ever stops blaming circumstances or temptation and admits that he made a choice. Multiple choices. Hundreds of them. Every time he texted her instead of talking to me. Every time he lied about where he was. every time he touched her and then came home and touched me. Those were choices. But mostly, I don't think about them at all. Because I'm too busy living a life they tried to take from me. A life I built from the ashes of their betrayal. A life that's entirely, beautifully mine.